most welcome to 1689, and I will do a short summary, or shortish, of especially the chapter on memory by Joachim Schulte. And I would say that there is a definitely very didactic example with memory being in different tracks. So you can replay them and you can have your pick. So, and the example is that the sense impressions for the so-called recording of memory goes to track 1 and feelings on track 2 and memories on track 3. And in this dealing, we see great difficulties. And how would it be possible for mind to keep the memories apart? When you have a memory episode, that episode is always entangled deeply infused with the present moment, your feelings, and I would have to say your bodily attitude. All comes together. Memory, although in the language it has a separate word for it, it does, however, not mean that we in a detached way can take memory apart from the feeling, the emotion, the situation. And all those facets and aspects of reality. It comes together, and all things that I mention now, and of course much more, is deeply interwoven into each other. And the idea of separatedness are different aspects of the language game doing their acts. Doing what they do best. The confusion lies is in where we try, so to speak, to separate them. And say memory is a sort of engraving, not connected to emotion, reality, your body, the circumstances you're in, and so forth. Instead, it's deeply interwoven into all other things. No separate recording. And this even questions the idea of a present, separable moment or now. Because part and parcel of the memory idea is that there is a now, and that now has three aspects. First, it is the now when recording is going on. A bit like I'm looking now at the camera and I see a green light. It is presently recording as I now speak. Second is that memories are taken from the storage point, if you like, transported by the CPU bus, or in some way transferred into the now. And it is in the now that it is read. And it's projected into the future in the way this separable memory bit is mixed with the surrounding emotions and intentions. This, I think, is the somewhat mistaken idea that creates also a now. This is a peculiar effect of these recording memories, is that they also create a separable now. The point to where the CPU bus or the memory retrieval mechanism brings things, leave them off, and then you have this really weird memory without emotions. Maybe it's picture only. And you say this is snapshot of something that went on before. And they intermingle this pure memory, which is, what does it consist of when you really get into it? As I mentioned in the previous summary, Wittgenstein asks us to feel into these things, to see if they really make sense. And the more I think of it, I've been using memory and the idea of memories, of course in my own language, sloppy, not really thinking what it could be about, but therefore I have assumed the picture that sort of kept me captive, to use Wittgensteinian phrases. And part and parcel of this captivity is that I just accepted, without looking very careful into the things, that memories are some sort of separable bits that do their own job. But now when I carefully look into what could a memory be, it is no longer absolutely obvious that memories are recorded events in past nows. It even becomes, I feel now, difficult to accept. Laden, I would say, with problems and difficulties. The same, there are some slight similarities. If you go to the next chapter in Joachim Schulte's book, go into emotions. When you think or assume that emotions are some sort of tokens for an inner process, that deep inside of you, you have the emotion and the facial expression, the feel you have in your body, is accompanying only or It's a supplement. Not necessarily to show one's emotions. They will still be inside of you. This is looked into by William James, as you can read in the first chapter of Emotions. William James say that the corporal change is also the emotion, and that it is unfathomable to think of sadness without the heaviness in the chest, the movement in the stomach, all those variety go together to what the emotion is. So emotion is not pure inwardness at all. Without these bodily changes, there would most definitely not be an emotion at all. I think that understanding is very important. It opens a door to understanding that emotions are not triggered from some mysterious, deep-seated origin within yourself. And that you are a helpless victim of these random eruptions of emotions. Like all of a sudden I just became sad or angry or irritated. And of course that would lead, now I am expanding it. It's not hard to think that that would lead to you being ruled by these, the lack of being into what happens makes you a less in control, less ruling your own life. I get so annoyed of people chewing gums, and you get the emotional response, body and soul, the whole lot. And the further this goes, the more you become a helpless victim of circumstance. Långsamt och ineffektivt. Well, you see, this can have effect on people being able to choose their own lifespan, their own direction of their life. I need to put a pause here. So as you see, emotions share some traits of memories. On a general basis, there are severe differences, I think. At least as a beginner's level, where I am definitely presently. It could be a good idea to see some parallels. Otherwise, the mission to understand Wittgenstein can be way too staggering. But understanding that emotions are not coming from the black box, that you are expressing the emotions, or by entering into them, you can understand what triggers them, and you'll be less of a victim for them, of them. You see that emotions, in some ways, are not absolutely another species than intentions and actions. And one of the examples is that you call the servant bell to scold off one of the servants. You can ring it fiercely, hard, thereby letting the servant know that you're angry already in advance. you will understand and you will be one of the energy that are in the motions. And then you can be emotional exactly when the wholeness is there, all the circumstances, and it serves the situation. I think today a lot of people are at loss with their emotions. The emotions just happens to them and they lose their control, the directionality. They become like dandelion seeds flying by the wind in every direction where the wind at that moment chooses for them. And this is something that makes you less in control, less satisfied. Think of the numbers of people who are having an sort of hardened inner, where one emotion has been allowed to roam freely, complaining about the politics, automatically reacting to the news in the paper. More taxes and you're tense and you have that emotion. And you think that the raise of taxes caused the emotion. And in the end you develop a chip on the shoulder. And your life becomes bitter. You can also end up in anger. And you will lose this delicate handling of the language game. That skill like to enter into situation, finding just the right word for something. Not too much, not too little. Exactly what you would like to say. And that is one of the things that once you learn more and more of how the present, the language game you are already in, is working, and how you either get played by it or you understand it and get into it. In some ways it's not entirely different from playing football, where knowing the rules, the tricks, the dribbling and so forth makes you enjoy the game, whereas not understanding how to pass, turn a ball, hide it, and all those things make the football game a chore. You can make that choice yourself the more you understand what previously limited your understanding. This is an opening up, a broadening, and you gain only. Wittgenstein is a gain-only situation. Let's see more. Well, the emotions manifest themselves in different spots, different places. I think the modern day often stated claim that I suffer from stress is also a sort of emotional response gone haywire by itself. It's living its own life. So those what becomes almost conditioned reactions to situations and even thoughts become so habituated that they strain you in the end. And it's this unconsciousness of all different things that actually you instigated at some moment in your life will come to rule you and rid you of your precious energy, joie de vivre, wantingness. I'd say that's very common today. There are similarities between memories and emotions, and memories do also, I think, and this is my own take, also have a bodily part. A bodily ingredient. Different memories, sounds, smells, situations, drama, excitement, boredom, have all different bodily sensations to them. And you can start to go in too much into the memories if you give them this recording idea. It will be like going back on a video recorder and play the same thing over again and again to sort of check out if your memory is true. And ruminating is very common today. Going over again and again. Did that happen? Did they say that? Did I do that? Should I done something else? That is of course strengthened if the idea is that memories are done, so to speak, they are not in the present. It almost guarantees that you will start producing memories that suit your purpose rather than leading them the way. Wittgensteinian clarification is, I think, once more, this is more my approach than anyone else's, but it is an invitation to go and enter into where your life is actually happening, in the situation and the context with other people. And it also will lead to freedom. The more, this is early on to say this, but the more I think of it, the more I start thinking, if you don't know these, if you're limited by these things, there are very little room for any freedom. You will be ruled by unconscious things out of your knowledge. Like the emotions is a good example, but it covers much more. They are much more. And it doesn't suffice to say that the extent goes all over one's life world. The language game, the Sprachspiel, understanding that is understanding both life, world, and yourself. And I think that turmoil that most people are feeling today within themselves in their bodily expressions, where we're twitching and see more and more unconscious, conditioned reactions taking over us. And it is a bit like we are repeating the same rut over and over again. We get stuck in that labyrinth. There's no way of getting out of it. Once we start thinking that the inner is where thinking is, for instance, something that you can ponder. If thinking is coming from the inside and it is this absolutely mysterious private language process that makes you a victim for that going on. And I would say in parenthesis, although it's becoming clear here that you started those thoughts once upon a time, or that dialogue. And as I said before, there is another thing going on at the same time, and that is a revealing of an underlying image, a picture. Because language, words are not our prison holders it is actually this image that plays its rule, that rules us. Well, I'll end this summary. I hope it wasn't too choppy, and say thank you very much. Have a very pleasant morning, night, evening, wherever you are. Bye bye for now.